Hello everyone, this is NK Inc. from Velocity Esports, and this is a video to give you a basic idea of how to play Lee Sin and what your main kind of goals are going to be on him. So for runes, I take flat 80 marks, flat armor seals, flat MR glyphs, and flat 80 quints. If you want to mix this up a little bit and start a Doran's Blade to be really aggressive, you can go with lifesteal quints instead. Generally you only do that if you want to be really aggressive at the beginning of the game. So I'd recommend flat 80 marks and flat 80 quints for newer Lee Sin players. For your skill order, you put your first point in Q because when you're clearing a buff as your first camp, Q does percentage health damage and it's much better than your E, especially if you're getting a leash because it does percentage health damage, and it also it gives you some mobility in case like you get invaded or something, or what it might be. It's better level 1 and in early game skirmishes. The reason I take the skilling order I take, where I only leave 1 point in Q and I max E instead, is because in a competitive game what tends to happen is if there's a 2v1 and you have Q maxed on Lee Sin, you generally don't have wave clear, and generally a level 2 E is going to be 10 times more useful than a level 2 Q in a fight 2v2. Your basic jungle order on Lee Sin is you want to start red most of the time because you don't need blue buff for mana regen or cooldown reduction. And on your first clear, you're probably going to have to use all of your health pots to stay full health after you clear red buff and blue buff. You're probably going to have 1 or 2 health pots left, and you'll want to use one of those so that you can be full health when you look to gank lanes. The next part of Lee Sin is you want to use your Q to travel around the map, just to kind of shorten the movement you have to do. You can use it to go to dragon, you can use it to Q over the wall to golems, wolves, wraiths. Almost every camp in the game you can use your Q to cut the time in half by going over a wall, and you can also use it to juke people out in coordination with your W once you get better at using it. Generally you want to clear small camps whenever you're not ganking, so you'd grab wolves, you'd grab wraiths, and then you'd grab golems. But if you see a chance to gank, or if your teammates need help, then it's always a good idea to leave that camp and go help them out. This next clip does a good job of showing how the Q ability can be used to take shortcuts around the map, and also how to escape from enemy champions using it. I also use the Q ability instead of face checking bushes when I feel like there might be enemy champions in them. Here's a great example of how to use Dragon's Rage, Lee Sin's R ability, his ultimate. I use Q to position myself so that I can follow up with W to get behind Corki and then kick him into my team. Unfortunately, we don't kill him, but in a closer game, he would probably die instantaneously. So the next clip, I am waiting in a bush for the enemy jungler to gank. Generally speaking, the enemy jungler is probably going to want to go where their bot lane is so that they can get a good leash on their blue. In this particular game, it turns out that Vi started the opposite of where I started. I started red, he started blue, so we were both going to end up top lane at the end of our jungle clear. So I'm waiting in the bush for him to get up here, and then we end up getting a double kill on them because he didn't expect me to be up there in that bush. Remember, Flash is a very important spell on Lee Sin. Not only can you use it to go in, if you hit Resonating Strike, your Q, on a champion, go all the way in and flash behind them, you can kick them back. You can also kind of counteract them flashing if you Q to them and try to ward jump and then kick them into your team by flashing after they flash out of your ward jump. And also you can use it to run away. In case you're in a situation where they might kill you, you can just flash away and potentially live in a situation where you would normally die. And then always remember to have fun. Sometimes you just gotta go crazy and try to make it work even though it won't.